Have you ever been so tired, yet unable to sleep? You lie in bed, lights off, eyes closed, but your mind keeps racing. Minutes turn into hours. You start checking the clock, and a quiet thought appears. What if I don't sleep again tonight? If you've ever experienced that moment, staring at the ceiling, feeling exhausted but wide awake, this video is for you. Because insomnia is not just about sleep, it's about what your mind refuses to let go of. If this feels familiar, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. Most people misunderstand insomnia. They believe insomnia happens because the body isn't tired enough, or because melatonin is low, or because they drank coffee too late. Those things can play a role, but they are not the root cause. The deeper truth is this. Insomnia is not a sleep problem. It is a nervous system problem. Sleep only happens when the brain feels safe, not comfortable, not relaxed, safe. For thousands of years, the human brain evolved with one primary mission: survival. If there is danger, the brain keeps you awake. If there is uncertainty, the brain keeps you alert. If something feels unresolved, the brain refuses to shut down. Your body can be exhausted, your muscles can be heavy, your eyes can burn with fatigue, but if your brain senses even a small threat, a worry, a regret, an unfinished problem, sleep will not come. This is why insomnia feels so confusing. You're not energized, you're not excited, you're not motivated, yet your mind refuses to stop. Because the brain does not care how tired you are. It only cares whether it believes you are safe enough to rest. This also explains something many people notice but rarely understand. Why do you sleep better on vacation? Why do you sleep deeply after emotionally releasing something? Why do some of your best nights of sleep happen when you've given up trying? It's not the bed, it's not the location, it's not even the routine. It's the state of your nervous system. When pressure disappears, the brain stands down. When expectations loosen, vigilance drops. When control fades, sleep emerges. Another dangerous misunderstanding is this idea that sleep is something you must achieve. You optimize your mattress, you optimize your supplements, you optimize your bedtime routine. But the more you optimize sleep, the more you monitor it. And the more you monitor sleep, the more pressure you create. Sleep does not perform under observation. It is not a task. It is not a skill. It is not a goal. Sleep is a biological response to safety. And here is where many people unknowingly trap themselves. They go to bed carrying the entire day with them. Unfinished conversations, unresolved stress, silent anxiety, internal pressure. During the day, distractions keep these things quiet. Work, noise, movement, screens. But at night, silence removes the mask. The moment you lie down, your brain finally has space to speak, and it speaks loudly. This is why insomnia often feels worse at night. Not because night is the problem, but because night reveals what was never processed during the day. So if you've been blaming yourself, thinking you're broken, weak, or incapable of resting, stop. Your brain is not failing you. It is protecting you. The real question is not, why can't I sleep? The real question is, what does my nervous system still feel responsible for? Once you understand that, everything about insomnia begins to change. If there is one thing to remember from this video, it is this. You are not failing at sleep. Sleep has not abandoned you. Your body is not broken. Your mind is not defective. You are simply carrying too much into the night. Insomnia does not mean you are weak. It means your nervous system is doing its job, trying to protect you in a world that never slows down. The mistake most people make is trying to overpower insomnia. They fight the night. They chase techniques. They demand results. But sleep does not respond to force. It responds to permission. The moment you stop treating the night as a test, the pressure dissolves. The moment you stop measuring your rest, your body begins to trust the silence. The moment you accept wakefulness without fear, sleep quietly finds its way back. Not because you commanded it, but because you no longer blocked it. Remember this: rest is not the absence of wakefulness. Rest is the absence of resistance. Even lying still, breathing slowly, without judgment, is already rest. And rest is the doorway to sleep. So, tonight, do not try to sleep. Instead, try something simpler. Let the night be as it is. Let your mind do what it does. Let your body breathe at its own pace. Nothing needs to be fixed right now. When the nervous system feels safe enough, sleep will arrive on its own terms, quietly, naturally, without effort. And when it does, you'll realize something important. Sleep was never something you lost. It was something waiting for you to stop chasing it. If you want more videos like this, about the mind, the nervous system, and living with less internal resistance, stay connected. And remember, the night is not your enemy. To truly understand insomnia, we need to stop treating it as one single problem. Insomnia is not caused by one thing. It is built in layers, and the deeper the layer, the harder it is to escape, unless you see it clearly. Let's break it down. Layer 1, modern stimulation, the surface layer. This is the layer everyone talks about. Phones, screens, blue light, endless scrolling. But the real danger is not the light itself, it's speed. Your brain is exposed to constant stimulation, fast images, short videos, emotional headlines, instant rewards. Dopamine spikes again and again. Then suddenly, you expect your mind to do this: stop, be quiet, go to sleep. But the brain doesn't work like a switch. You cannot live in high-speed mode all day and expect instant stillness at night. This is why many people say, "I watch videos until I feel sleepy." What actually happens is the opposite. The brain becomes tired but alert, exhausted but vigilant. This layer alone can disturb sleep, but for most chronic insomnia sufferers, it is not the main problem. It's only the entrance. Layer 2, an unreleased mind, the core layer. This is where insomnia truly lives. During the day, you suppress things, you delay decisions, you ignore emotions, you push worries aside. Not because you want to, but because life demands performance. So your mind does what it must. It postpones processing. But postponed thoughts do not disappear. They wait. And night is when they collect payment. When the noise stops, the mind finally has space. And when it has space, it brings everything forward at once. Unspoken conversations, mistakes you replay, futures you imagine, fears you never addressed. This is why insomnia feels like overthinking. But here's the truth most people miss. You're not thinking too much at night. You didn't think enough during the day. Your mind is not attacking you, it's asking for attention. And if you don't give it a safe place to release, it will choose the only time available, the moment you lie down. This is why people often say, "My body wants to sleep, but my mind won't stop." Because the mind believes something is unresolved, and unresolved equals unsafe. Layer 3, the fear of not sleeping, the trap layer. This is the most dangerous layer, and the one that turns temporary insomnia into a long-term cycle. At some point, you stop fearing the thoughts. You start fearing insomnia itself. You check the clock. You calculate hours. You predict tomorrow. If I don't sleep now, I'll be exhausted. If I'm exhausted, I'll fail. If I fail, everything falls apart. That single thought flips a switch. Your nervous system enters survival mode. Heart rate increases, breathing becomes shallow, awareness sharpens, and sleep becomes impossible. This is the cruel paradox of insomnia. The fear of not sleeping is what keeps you awake. Your brain interprets concern as danger. It doesn't understand logic, it understands signals. And the signal you're sending is, something is wrong, stay alert. So it does, night after night, until insomnia becomes a habit, not of sleep, but of vigilance. At this point, even when the original problem is gone, the body remembers the pattern. The bed becomes associated with tension, the night becomes associated with threat, and sleep disappears before you even try. This is not because you are broken, it's because your system learned the wrong lesson, and until that lesson is unlearned, no technique will fully work. Understanding these three layers is critical because insomnia does not end by fixing the surface. It ends by dismantling the deeper loop. And that begins with a hard truth most people resist.
Here is the truth most people never want to hear. You cannot force sleep. The moment you try to sleep, you activate the very system that prevents it. Sleep is not an action. It is not a decision. It is not something you can command. Every attempt to make sleep happen sends a signal to the brain. Something is wrong. And when the brain senses something is wrong, it stays awake. This is why insomnia feels so unfair. You do everything right, you lie still, you relax your body, you close your eyes, yet the more effort you apply, the more alert you become. Because effort equals control, and control equals vigilance. Sleep requires the opposite. Sleep only emerges when control dissolves. Think about the times you slept best. Not when you were trying, not when you were counting minutes, not when you were monitoring yourself. You slept when you stopped caring, when you said, whatever happens, happens. That moment is not resignation, it is safety. The brain does not fall asleep because you want it to. It falls asleep because it no longer feels responsible. This is why advice like just relax or stop thinking never works. You cannot relax on command, and you cannot stop thinking by force. Trying to quiet the mind is still engagement with the mind, and engagement keeps the system active. This is the core mistake people make with insomnia. They treat sleep like a performance. They evaluate it, judge it, score it. Good night, bad night, success, failure. But sleep does not respond to judgment. The more meaning you attach to sleep, the more pressure you create around it. And pressure is interpreted as danger. So here's the shift that changes everything. The goal is not sleep. The goal is safety. Not comfort, not pleasure, safety. When the nervous system feels safe, sleep is automatic. This means the question you should be asking is not, how do I fall asleep faster? But what is my nervous system still trying to protect me from? Sometimes it's unresolved stress. Sometimes it's emotional tension. Sometimes it's fear of the future. Sometimes it's fear of the night itself. Until that protection is no longer needed, sleep will remain distant. This is also why many sleep hacks fail long-term. They may work for a few nights, but the underlying pattern remains. Because sleep does not come from techniques, it comes from permission. Permission for the mind to stand down,
permission for the body to release control, and permission cannot be forced, it can only be allowed. Once you understand this, insomnia stops feeling like an enemy. It becomes a signal, a message, and every signal can be answered if you listen instead of fighting. Now the question becomes practical. If you cannot force sleep, then what actually works?
If you cannot force sleep, then the only thing that works is changing the conditions under which sleep appears. Not hacks, not tricks, not shortcuts. What follows is not a bedtime routine. It is a system designed to calm the nervous system, release the mind, and break the fear loop that keeps you awake. Layer 1. Lower the nervous system's temperature. Most people try to relax at night while living in acceleration all day. High stimulation, fast decisions, constant urgency. Then they expect the body to shut down instantly. That never works. The nervous system needs signals of safety, not instructions. The strongest signal of safety is rhythm. Slow movement, slow breathing, low stimulation. You don't need perfect habits, you need a gradual deceleration. Before sleep, the goal is not calm, it is less alertness than before. One principle matters more than anything else. Your exhale must be longer than your inhale. Long exhales tell the nervous system there is no immediate threat. The body listens to breath more than thoughts. When breathing slows, heart rate slows, muscle tension drops, vigilance fades. This is not relaxation as an idea, it is relaxation as a biological signal. Layer 2. Clear the mind without solving it. Most people go to bed with a mind full of unfinished business, tasks, worries, conversations, regrets, and they expect the mind to cooperate. It won't, because the mind's job is not to relax. Its job is to remember what matters. So instead of trying to silence the mind, you give it a container. Before sleep, you take everything that feels unresolved and put it somewhere external. Not to solve it, not to fix it, just to acknowledge it. This step is critical because the mind does not demand answers at night. It demands reassurance that nothing is being ignored. Once something is written down, the brain receives a message. This is not lost. This will be handled. And when the brain feels heard, it softens. Trying to stop thinking creates tension. Allowing thoughts to exist without action creates release. Sleep does not require clarity. It requires closure for the night. Layer 3. Break the fear of not sleeping. This is the most important layer, and the hardest, because it requires a mental reversal. As long as sleep feels important, it will stay distant. As long as you judge the night as good or bad, you feed the cycle. The nervous system cannot relax while being evaluated. So the goal here is radical neutrality. No tracking, no judging, no counting. You stop asking, "Am I sleeping?" and instead allow, "I am resting." Even wakefulness without fear is rest. The moment you stop fighting the night loses its power. This is not giving up, this is withdrawal of effort. And pressure is what kept the system awake in the first place. The paradox is simple. The less you care about sleep, the more likely it appears. Because caring signals responsibility, and responsibility keeps the brain alert. When you remove responsibility, the brain stands down. This is how insomnia ends, not suddenly, but quietly, not by conquering it, but by no longer feeding it. Once these 3 layers align, the body calms, the mind releases, and fear dissolves, sleep returns on its own. Not every night, not perfectly, but naturally. Insomnia is not random, and it is not meaningless. It is a message. Most people treat insomnia as an enemy, something to fight, suppress, or eliminate. But insomnia is not attacking you. It is responding to you. It reflects the way you move through your days. If you never slow down when you are awake, your mind will not slow down when you lie down. If you ignore your inner state all day, your mind will demand attention at night. Sleep is not isolated from life, it is shaped by it. This is why two people can share the same routine, the same bedroom, the same habits, yet one sleeps deeply and the other doesn't. Because the difference is not behavior, it is relationship with the self. Insomnia often appears when life is lived in constant tension, when you carry expectations that never rest, when you pressure yourself silently, when you stay productive but disconnected. During the day, you perform. At night, performance is no longer possible, and the mind finally speaks. Not in words, but in wakefulness. Insomnia says, you haven't stopped, you haven't listened, you haven't let go. This is uncomfortable to hear, but also powerful, because it means insomnia is not permanent. It means sleep is not broken. It means something is asking to be seen. Many people search for the perfect nighttime solution while ignoring the daytime cause. They optimize the end of the day instead of changing the pace of living. But rest does not begin at bedtime. It begins when you allow moments of non-doing, moments without output, without performance, without pressure. These moments teach the nervous system a lesson. It's okay to stand down. And when that lesson is learned during the day, night no longer has to teach it. This is why people who find meaning, who release emotional weight, who accept uncertainty, often sleep better without trying. Not because they fixed sleep, but because they fixed their relationship with control. Insomnia disappears when vigilance is no longer needed, when life feels manageable, when the future feels less threatening, when the present is no longer resisted. So instead of asking, how do I sleep better? Ask something deeper. What am I carrying that doesn't belong in bed? What am I holding on to that needs release? What pressure am I normalizing? These questions are not meant to be answered at night. They are meant to change how you live. Because the truth is simple. Sleep is not something you earn at the end of the day. It is something you are allowed when you feel safe enough to stop. And safety does not come from control. It comes from acceptance. When you stop fighting the night stops resisting you.